Not sure if you guys have heard or not, but the Dallas Cowboys have not won a Super Bowl in about 30 years. I know, shocking. But in 2026, there are reasons to be excited, and I'm starting to feel that tingle. You know where. Stick with me, and I'll explain why.
Cowboys Nation, stand up tall. We'll never let spirit fall.
Let's go, baby!
Blue and white will always fight. Determined to reach that height.
So starting off, the Cowboys have completely revamped this defense that was the worst maybe to ever wear a Dallas Cowboys uniform, and they've turned it into something that we should be excited about. It's not going to be perfect right out the gate. It's not going to be perfect year one. It probably won't be elite year one, but has a lot of upside, and the floor of this defense has been raised. If we take a look at this chart that I made up here, it shows all the key additions that we've made. So first, you look at trades. Rashawn Gary, trade from the Packers. Trade for D. Winters. The linebackers were going off the board in the draft. Cowboys pulled the trigger on the trade with the Niners for the 5th round pick in 2026. And so you start with Gary. That's a guy who right off the edge, better than everybody you had last season. He's not a super fast win kind of guy off the edge. He tends to maybe wear down a little bit as the season goes on, but he's a guy who's very steadfast in the run game. He can do a lot of cleanup, and he's a high motor guy. So he'll get a lot of second effort sacks. He's, a 6 to 9 sack a year guy, somewhere in that range. I tend to think of him as like a DeMarcus Lawrence, maybe down just a notch from what he offered the team. He's not going to go get you a bunch of tackle for losses, but he's going to help your interior pass rush get home. He's going to help maybe take some double teams away from guys on the other side. He's just a super steady presence in that edge group that was desperately needed. So very excited for Rashawn Gary. D. Winters comes from the 49ers, and he's a guy who filled in for Fred Warner when Fred Warner got hurt. Was a really good pairing with Warner. When he had to be the man, he wasn't as good as he was when he could just come in at times and play. But pairing him next to Overshown should give you an instant upgrade versus what you had last year. And that's not obviously a big statement to make. What you had last year was not very good at all. Kenneth Murray, Jack Sanborn, neither one are here anymore for good reason. But when you pair those new linebackers with, the health of obviously Overshown, and you look at the D line, specifically the D tackles in front of them in Quinnen Williams and Quinnen Williams and Kenny Clark, that's a big boon for the linebackers, because those defensive tackles, one you traded for in the middle of last season, one you traded for 5 days before the season start, they now get a whole offseason together to go through camp, learn a new system, and those guys together are going to help the linebackers be more free to roam. They're going to be able to read better, make better reads. You're going to be able to flow sideline to sideline, not have to worry about offensive linemen in their lap on a consistent basis. If you remember last year, you had Mozzie Smith for a little bit of the season before you traded for Quinnen Williams. So Kenny Clark didn't really have a proper running mate next to him. And now that he does, I really expect those guys to thrive, but also to help the linebackers thrive on that second level as well. Then you look at free agency. We'll jump over to the right-hand side there. Jalen Thompson, biggest signing they've probably had in years. He's often, I want to say he's forgotten about, honestly. You don't hear a lot about Jalen Thompson, but he's a guy who can go play 2 high safety, go cover deep third. He can man up on tight ends. He can go blitz. He can go play and as the nickel guy, line up in the slot. He can do a lot of things. And obviously you pair him with Caleb Downs, who we'll get to in a minute, and you have massively transformed your secondary just with those 2 guys alone. You look at Kobe Durant, he probably would have been your best corner on the team last year, given the fact that Bland was in and out of the lineup. He was hurt, playing through injuries. Revel was coming back, rookie season, major injury, coming back from that, learning how to be a pro, how to play with a brace on his knee, impacted his ability to move around. Was not great, but I didn't expect a lot from Revel his rookie season anyways. I expect him to be a key contributor though this year moving forward. So you add Kobe Durant to that room now, and it's starting to look better. PJ Locke going to be a special teams contributor, but who will get some snaps back there at safety at times between Jalen Thompson, Caleb Downs, and Malik Hooker. You look at Atito Agbonia, another guy. We talked about the defensive lineman, and we'll say Jonathan Buller as well. Both of those guys really good against the run. And when you talk about kind of what their plan was with these defensive tackles, the gap and a half, meaning that they cover a gap and a half of the other one next to them. Kind of self-explanatory, but that helps, the linebackers, like I said, stay free. And Otito Ogbonia and Jonathan Bullard, both guys that can more than handle that. Now, where you get a little bit concerned is if Quinnen Williams goes down or Kenny Clark goes down. Well, your interior pass rush suffers big time because neither one of those guys are really going to get after the passer. Same thing with second-year Jay Toia. You don't really have an interior pass rusher outside of Kenny Clark and Quinnen Williams. So hopefully nothing happens with them and they're able to stay healthy and get through the season. But as far as run defense goes, those are two good names there they've added in free agency. Now we get to the draft. Caleb Downs, obligatory mention of him every episode because it's like winning the lottery. Can't believe he's a Cowboy. Absolutely just amazed by it. The words can't explain it. He's transformative, right? He can go play. Same thing as I said about Jalen Thompson. Go play in the slot. He'll probably be your nickel guy for most of the season, but he will move back, play safety at times. I expect him to kind of roam at times as well on the defense. Play a robber role, undercut some slants, things like that. I cannot wait to see him go blow up a screen pass in the backfield or go, on 3rd and 3, go disrupt a screen pass and get a TFL or something. I mean, this guy's going to be all over the field. He's incredibly smart, already respected by the vets, and just a guy that for the next, roughly decade or so is going to be a cornerstone of this defense. Malachi Lawrence, he is your quick win pass rusher off the edge, and he has some power too. He's got a pass rush catalog, and he's got some power to his game. He's a guy who, rookie edges don't usually come in and make a huge impact right off the bat, but Malachi Lawrence is a guy in the rotation, pass rush rotation, primarily going to be used as a pass rusher. He's a guy I expect to get, 5-6 sacks, somewhere around there his rookie season. Going to be a contributor on the defense for sure. Jayshawn Barham is probably, outside of Downs, he's probably the rookie I'm most excited about. This is kind of a wrecking ball player, see ball, attack ball, kill ball kind of guy. He's going to be used, obviously, at middle linebacker, as we all know by now, but they'll shift him around, use him in some 5-man front situations. He played edge in college as well, so knows how to rush the passer. Plays with a ton of violence, a kind of a psychopath, to be honest with you. If you've ever seen him with his helmet off, he looks like he's going to murder somebody, which is okay with me because I want my defensive players, especially my linemen and my linebackers, to be psychopaths, and he definitely fits that mold. So can't wait to see him go blow up somebody in the A-gap and get us all stoked. Devin Moore, rookie corner out of Florida. Really good player. His story is he was hurt all the time. Would have been picked higher in the draft, but dealt with lots of injuries. So getting him in the 4th round is actually a really good pick for Dallas. And if he can stay healthy, I think he'll compete for snaps this year, but I think next year he could be in line to compete for one of those top 2 to 3 positions in that cornerback room. LT Overton's another guy that is very exciting to me. Kind of a weird excitement because I don't know what to expect from Overton. He's kind of a tweener, almost an Osa replacement, but not really because he's about the size of Osa, but he doesn't have that pass rush skill set that Osa had. He's more of a run stopper. So I don't really know what their plan is with Overton. He'll probably play some edge here and there, maybe, especially in run situations. He'll definitely be inside at defensive tackle at times, playing like a 3-tech role. Kind of a hybrid, and it's exciting to me just to know or to see in camp in the preseason what their plan is with this rookie, but could be a sneaky guy who doesn't get his name called a lot, but helps the guys on the next level and the players around him do their jobs. And so now when you look at this chart, what's crazy is that just right off the bat here, you've got Rashawn Gary, D. Winters, Caleb Downs, Jalen Thompson. That's 4 guys that'll be instant day 1 starters. You've got Otito Ogbonia. When they're in base, he'll be your starting defensive tackle out there alongside Kenny Clark and Quinnen Williams. So you can say in base, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 new players, new starters. Kobe Durant could start. He could win out that cornerback job, possibly, but either way, I mean, you're getting a guy there who wasn't healthy last year anyway. So when you look at starting camp this year versus what camp was last year, so let's do it that way. Rashawn Gary, D. Winters, Caleb Downs, Jalen Thompson, Otito Ogbonia. That's 5. Then you look at the guys who are going to be healthy that you didn't have last year in camp. That's going to be DeMarvion Overshown. That's going to be Shavon Ravel. That's 7 guys. Okay, let's look at Quinnen Williams wasn't here, right, last season during camp. So that's 8 guys. You traded in for him in the middle of the season. So 8 guys walking into camp just off the top of my head that will be starting on your defense day 1 that you didn't have in training camp last year. That's what they call a defensive overhaul. And that's an overhaul in one offseason. Mad props to this front office. I know we all attack them for a lot of things, but let's give him some credit. We haven't seen Christian Parker call a play yet, but we all think he's going to be an absolute stud DC. So let's give him some credit there. Let's give him some credit for all the key additions they made personnel-wise as well. And a lot of that has to do with Parker and Shoddy and the way they want to run this thing. But let's also give credit to the front office, Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, and Will McClay, and changing the way that they operate based on what their coaches want. And I won't dive deep into the offense here, but we all expect the offense to just continue what they've been doing. They didn't lose anybody really of any significance. Ryan Flanoy, we think, is going to take another step as wide receiver 3 and really explode. I think he's got wide receiver 2 upside potential. This is a big year for him because George Pickens may not be around as a Cowboy next season. And so if he can prove that he can pick up the slack and be wide receiver 2, that may give the Cowboys even more reason to maybe move on or trade George Pickens next season. Who knows? That's in the future, right? But there are all good things happening on this Cowboys offense. The big question mark, I think we all know, is left and right tackle. Left tackle, can Tyler Guyton stay healthy through camp, through preseason, and into the season? Can he develop? This is basically it for him. It's either, pee or get off the pot at this point, because if he doesn't perform well this year, I think the Cowboys next season start looking for a replacement for him. Terrence Steele, he kind of is what he is at this point. Good run blocker, struggles mightily sometimes in pass pro. And if both of your tackles are struggling in pass protection, it really hurts your offense because you can't keep 2 tight ends. You're not going to play a bunch of 12 personnel just to help pass pro all the time. And so the Cowboys really thrive in 11 personnel. That's 1 tight end, 3 receivers, 1 running back. And so if they can play as much 11 as they possibly can with this receiving core, and obviously the interior 3 offensive linemen and the running back, the offense is elite. It's beyond elite. It's one of the best in the NFL at that point. Obviously, Dak Prescott, I didn't even say his name, but Dak Prescott's playing the best ball he's ever played in his career. And so as long as Dak's healthy, man, this offense has a chance to be something special. You pair that with a defense who their floor, I think, is probably last year's ceiling, just right off the bat. If I had to guess, they're not going to be perfect. They're going to make some mistakes. And I mean, they're not going to give up no points every single week. I'm not saying that. But I think that the stretch we saw last season with the Raiders, the Eagles, and the Chiefs, right, where the defense played okay enough to give the offense a chance and give the team a chance to go win those games, and they did. The defense played much better during that stretch. I think that's probably close to the floor of this defense. And so by the end of 2026, I just have a feeling that this defense won't be recognizable from what you saw last year. I mean, shoot, week 1, it might not even be recognizable. It won't be after all. I just said all these starters. We're going to have all these new players. But as far as just, it's going to be night and day. I really have a feeling that this defense is going to begin to evolve into something special by the end of the season. They're competing for a playoff spot, competing for the division. I really feel like this defense is going to start making some really key plays in those games at that point in time. Once some of these new guys get the experience under their belt, the DC learns from his mistakes. And that's one thing that we talked about expectations versus excitement in our other shows with Knicks. And, I think that my expectation is for this defense to start out with a higher floor than last year's ceiling was, and for them to evolve into a defensive unit that's going to go help you win ball games and help you get into the playoffs. Now, once they get into the playoffs, I don't know. We'll see. All bets off at that point. But I think that this is there's a lot of upside potential with this unit, even just in year 1. So with all that said, appreciate you all watching this video. If you got to this point, you might as well go and hit the subscribe button. Please leave a comment. Let me know what your thoughts are. Does this unit have something special defensively that makes you think maybe this curse gets lifted, the Cowboys can get past the division around all that? Or do you think this is going to be a bunch of the same old? We're getting excited mid-June just to be let down in December and January of that season. Let me know what y'all think. I'll catch you later.